Find more details.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I love seeing all the good mornings and hellos in the chat.
Caitlin, just so you know, is we had a little bit of an issue on Tuesday with the chat function. For some reason, we are not able to put chat in to everyone.
I see that. Yeah, I guess we can only do that. So we'll just have to communicate everything verbally. Also, for all the viewers, please refrain from using the Q&A if you don't have a question. Okay, because it does kind of cloud it up.
And also another thing we want to remind everyone, please do not put your personal information in a chat box. Please, we were reminded again, please do not put your personal information, because when you put your personal information in the chat box, everybody can see it. Okay, so use the chat box strictly for questions. Thank you.
So we're just waiting for Brianna to get here. Did you want to pass me over the control of the screen? I think it would be a good opportunity to talk about the VCE.
Yeah, sure. You should.
Oh, yeah. I'm just sending a message to Brianna, making sure that she has everything okay. I'm so excited to be here this morning. It's been a while since I've hosted, almost a month since I've hosted a presentation.
Okay. So, Caitlin, just so you know, right now only us panelists can see chat. We're not letting everybody that put in the chat. Only us can see it.
That might be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'll be good.
Yes, Mohammed, we got your message. Yeah, for everyone that's just putting their questions and also their comments. Yes, we can see your comments and questions.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay, so I should have.
Yeah.
So we do have maybe about 4 minutes before our presentation starts, and we're still waiting for our presenter.
Okay. Do you have the control now, Caitlin?
I do have the control.
Perfect.
So I just wanted to remind everyone that the 12th National Virtual Career Expo is happening at the end of September. So what that is, if you haven't been on one before, it's basically Canada's largest virtual career expo and job fair. So it's an opportunity for you to chat with recruiters from companies in Canada. We have top employers online. We have a lot of in-demand skilled jobs that are going to be posted. And again, you get to chat with people who work at these companies who can potentially offer you your transition career in Canada. Another interesting and something that people love about our virtual career expo is that we have a live channel broadcast for 2 days during the fair. Hi, Brianna.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm really well. Thank you for asking. So we do have a few minutes before the presentation starts, but I'm sure, as you can see, we already have over 400 people online. They're all very excited. I know that we have a lot of French speakers. I can see them putting on the chat, but this is going to be an English presentation. I'll just talk a little bit in French, just letting them know kind of. Alors, la présentation va être uniquement en anglais, mais c'est important de faire attention, même si vous ne parlez pas beaucoup d'anglais, parce que Ottawa, il y a beaucoup d'opportunités en français, et parler français en Ottawa, c'est vraiment comme une qualité que beaucoup d'employeurs cherchent, mais la présentation va être uniquement en anglais. Même les questions et réponses vont être en anglais. OK? Alors, si vous pouvez mettre les questions en anglais, ça va nous aider beaucoup. Okay. Great. So yeah, we have a lot of participants. It's going to fill up completely. We might have to end up kicking people off and putting them on YouTube just if our capacity does get. But just so you know, we did have over 6,000 registrants for this program.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So how many people actually are online, we're not sure. We'll probably know the full number around 9:05.
Yeah, plus we'll have the recording.
Yeah, exactly. And then we can play that. Great. So I'll just wait another, I guess, 30 seconds and I'll give you a nice introduction and I'll let you take over after that.
Sounds good.
Also, I will be keeping an eye on the Q&A. So all the questions that come through, I'll be noting the ones, and then I'll be able to ask you, and we'll do like a moderated question and answer period.
Perfect.
Okay.
And I hope I sound okay. I'm getting over a cold. Luckily, the worst is
You
over,
sound
but
fine. I feel like we all are. Like it just feels like everyone was just sick. So
yeah, luckily not COVID. I tested, but
yeah, you know,
these days
you really can't tell anymore. It's just you just have to be as careful as you can when you do get sick, right? Because you never know. Okay. Lots of good questions already. I'm going to have my work cut out for me today. Okay, well, I'm going to get started with the introduction. So first, I will be talking a little bit about our organization and some things we have coming up. And then I'm going to hand the floor over to Brianna to get to what everyone is here to learn about today. Okay. So our organization is G-TAC, which stands for Global Talent Alliance Canada, and we are really specialists in global talent pipeline building, and we specialize as well in diversity and inclusion initiatives within the Ottawa and Ontario market. Okay. So today we're hosting Invest Ottawa for this Meet the Employer. They are going to talk about opportunities in Ottawa and different, opportunities in Ottawa. I didn't, Okay, I'm sorry. I thought I had another slide in between the two. So today we're joined by Brianna Fraser. She is the talent attraction strategist for Invest Ottawa, and we've had a lot of presentations from Brianna. She's absolutely fantastic. So everyone today is in for a great treat. And a little bit more about Global Talent Alliance is we're really passionate about serving skilled workers, specifically with settlement and employment needs across Canada, as well as helping businesses expand their talent pipeline and meet their talent hiring needs. One of the big events that we do, as I spoke about earlier before, is the virtual career fair. And that's just one part of our mission to help global talent find jobs via different webinars, different events, and or training that we offer. So our services, we have the webinars. So there's Resume Clinic, Interviewing 101, LinkedIn Profile. So all these things are really, the webinars that we do are really geared towards job seekers and helping you guys either transition your career within Canada or find that first job to transition your life to Canada. We also do career-focused trainings. So those include labor market information, which is good when you're looking at coming here for the first time, as well as trainings with career coaches and job referrals. And then in terms of employer connections, we have our Meet the Employer events, which we do on a, several times a month. We'll invite employers from big employers across Canada to kind of give you an overview of their opportunities as well as what their brands really are about. And then we also have some exclusive job postings from our employer partners to help fill talent needs that can't be filled within their market. Okay. So these are kind of generally, this is kind of the process flow of how job seekers will move through our services. Usually they'll start with kind of finding out about us through the webinars. And then they'll say, oh, that training, or I need more information on this labor market, and they'll move to more personal one-on-one services with us. And from there, we kind of try to help them get connected with employers. So some really great statistics about our organization is that we are partnered with 400 employers across Canada, as well as 20 municipalities, provincial governments, and economic development commissions in Canada. And then on the top, you'll just see a chart of how we've grown the Talent Attraction Fair with the number of participating countries and the number of registrants. So we're about at generally sitting at 15,000 registrants for the past 4 VCEs. Now you guys are on one of our webinars. So here's kind of the 6 types of webinars we do. We do the Meet the Employer webinars, which get you connected directly with employer partners, and they get to talk about opportunities and some kind of skills and demands that they have. And then the sector destination, I guess this would be considered one of those, so that you can learn about more than just from one company in a region and learn about the region itself and see if that's the destination that you want to make your target when you're coming to Canada or when you're looking to move within Canada. We also talk about diversity and inclusion, as well as career coaching. So that would be resume workshops. We know before the Virtual Career Expo, we always do an event kind of teaching viewers how to get the best out of the Virtual Career Expo. So make sure that if you're going to be on the VCE or you're coming to the job fair, that you participate in that one. And then we do Discover Culture, which is Discover Canada, which is kind of an overview of different areas in Canada. So some of the training courses, I know I mentioned this a little bit before, but these are the ones that are coming up. So starting August 8th, which is just a couple weeks away, we have the accounting training. So this really is useful for 2 types of individuals. The first type of individual is for someone who is coming to Canada and has a financial background or a background in finance and needs to kind of get up to date with how, taxation, nonprofit organization accounting, professional ethics in the financial industry and in accounting work in Canada, because there are different rules for each country. So that will kind of help you transition your already learned skills from your country into Canada, as well as for people who are already in Canada. and would like to transfer into the financial industry, this is a really great course to kind of give you the fundamentals and the basics and help you get that first opportunity in that field. Also, I'm going to share a few more trainings, but if you want to ask any questions about the training, or if you want to learn more, the email on the screen, song.g@g-tac.ca, is the best place to get more information about upcoming courses or registration fees as well. Another career-focused training that we have coming up, so starting on August 15th, this is the Cybersecurity Fundamentals course. So this is an upskill and a reskill for our IT security career. This comes with GTAC's training certificate. So you do get a certified kind of a diploma when you graduate this course. So this one is really up-to-date norms and requirements on technology trends. We do talk a little bit about a career path and job opportunities in this field as well. And in this one, it's really, you do connect with the trainer a lot, and he does kind of give career coaching for what industry your skills might be suited for, as well as job referrals, if that is, something that you are looking for. And now I would like to officially pass the microphone over to Brianna, who is going to be talking about Ottawa, which is where we are all located today. So we do love working with Invest Ottawa. Brianna, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Well, super happy to be here. Very excited to be presenting Ottawa, Canada's capital, or what we also like to call it is the Silicon Valley of the North. For those that are familiar with Silicon Valley, it's really a tech hub, and Ottawa is one of the largest tech hubs of Canada. So it's something that we're very proud of, and I'm here to talk a little bit about that today. But before I get started, I wanted to share a little more about Invest Ottawa and who we are. So Invest Ottawa is the lead economic development agency for Canada's capital city, and we're actually a not-for-profit. So our mission is to help the city of Ottawa grow, specifically in the tech sector and with small businesses. So we have several different programs to help small businesses, no matter what the size, from idea stage all the way to growth, to, if they're expanding outside of Canada internationally. We help businesses at every stage to grow with different programs and support that we have. The talent program that I'm on is very unique and special because what we do is that part of helping companies grow is making sure that they have the right people on their teams to continue that growth. And so we work with our tech startups and our larger tech companies on helping them find talent, which is why I'm here talking to you today, because I know there's going to be a lot of job seekers listening in, and I want to provide that information, but also provide some resources to help you in your careers. So you can check out workinottawa.ca, which is a brand by Invest Ottawa, and that is our job seeking facing brand. So if you're a job seeker, you can go to LinkedIn, you can go to our website and look at Work in Ottawa, and there's tons of information and resources in case you're thinking of starting your career here. It talks about how to find a job, different companies and sectors that we work with, and even has some jobs posted that you can apply to. So what our talent team does is we work with employers that have hiring needs, and then we go out to the candidates that we work with and try to do some matching and help promote different opportunities. We've been able to help a lot of different individuals, and right now we're really focusing on international talent and helping those either before they land in Canada or after they land, in terms of helping them find a career here. So feel free to go to workinottawa.ca. I'll make sure to include the information in the chat after as well, or you can connect with me on LinkedIn or anywhere else, and I'd be happy to help.
You should be able to just click on the screen and start. There you go.
Yeah, there we go. Took 2 clicks. Great. So why Ottawa? That's really, really what I want to get into today, is that, if you're thinking of coming to Canada, it's such a large country, and it's so different from the West Coast to the East Coast, completely different environments, cities, economics. So it really is an important choice because it's not just about the job, it's also about the quality of life for yourself, for your family, maybe for your kids. And there's a lot of different factors to consider. So I'm going to touch upon a couple of those factors today of why I think Ottawa, the capital of Canada, is such a fantastic place to live. And then I'm going to dive into deeper as well as why it's a great place to work and some things to consider for your job search, like what types of companies are here and where to start looking. So some quick facts about the city. So Ottawa actually has the highest concentration of technology talent in the labor force in North America. So what does that mean? You know, a lot of people think of Ottawa as a government town. People drive to come see Parliament, you know, maybe wave to Justin Trudeau. But our second largest industry after government is actually tech. And that's not a lot of people know that. And so tech is a really large employer in the city. And per capita, based off our population, we have the highest percentage of people who are either tech workers or work in tech in the city. So that does a couple of things. One, if you want to grow your career here, it means that tech is a really good place to do that. Even if you're not a tech worker, you might have traditional skills like in marketing, business, biology, education, but you can find verticals in different areas of interest within tech companies that will take your expertise. And it just provides a lot more opportunities, high growth, better salaries. And so it's really great tech career to think about, an industry to focus on if you're job seeking. It also means that because we are such a high concentration of tech talent, we're also constantly attracting new tech companies to the city. So Invest Ottawa has a team that is actually going out abroad to Europe, Asia, the United States, and we're constantly attracting new companies to the city, which just helps further that economic growth and provides more opportunities for those living here because we're constantly attracting new tech companies to set up shop. Ottawa is one of the most attractive places for tech companies to set up new offices. And so that's really important when you're trying to figure out your career because you want to make sure that you have multiple opportunities. If you move somewhere with a tech degree that doesn't have a lot of tech companies, it might be a little bit more difficult to find work. Yes, you can work remote, but if you're really looking to grow your career, network, meet with people, have that office environment, having a city like Ottawa that has such a pronounced tech hub is really a really great opportunity, and it'll ensure that you can stay in Ottawa throughout your career as you grow. We also have over 20 million people living within 400 kilometers of Ottawa. So that's more than Toronto. We hear about the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area, and Montreal. So Ottawa is constantly growing and expanding. We have over 1 million people just living within Ottawa, but then we have so many amazing small towns surrounding it, like Kemptville, Perth, Carleton Place, for example. And these towns are within 30, 40 minutes driving to downtown Ottawa, but it's still considered a small town. So if you want that kind of environment, you prefer maybe a quieter town to live in, you can live there with everything you need, and you could still come into the office a couple times a week or work for Ottawa companies and be considered in the greater Ottawa area. What's also cool is that we border Quebec. So for all the French speakers here, je peux vivre en Québec, mais travailler à Ottawa. Ottawa is a bilingual city. And so you have the choice. You could, as long as your visa allows, live in Quebec, and you are 5 minutes away from Ottawa coming back to Ontario. So a lot of people do that. They live in Quebec, work in Ottawa, or vice versa. And whether you're on the Quebec side or Ottawa, you will hear French all the time. We are a bilingual city. You don't need to speak French though. So if you're worried about that, of like, oh no, I don't speak French, can I get a job? Absolutely. A lot of government positions need French, not all of them, but a lot of public sector positions don't require it. It's definitely an asset and will help you, but no worries if you don't speak French, you can absolutely still live in Ottawa. The city is also rated as one of the best places to live in Canada, and that's, to me, is super important. In terms of quality of life, cost of living, it is easily one of the best places to live in all the major cities. And that's for a number of factors that I'll get into in a little bit. And we're also recognized as having the lowest cost of living of any city in Canada. So it's more affordable to live here than, say, Toronto, Vancouver, or Montreal, which is typically where a lot of people move to start. And it can be very difficult because housing and transportation, things are just a lot more expensive. And salaries don't tend to always adjust for that. So there's still a lot of rules that are minimum wage or lower paying. So it can make it very hard to rent or buy. But Ottawa, it's a lot easier to kind of have everything you want. A little bit more about the capital. So as I alluded to earlier, we have about 1.44 million people that live just in the core of Ottawa. We have almost a million people in the workforce, and 76,000 people are employed in the tech sector, making that the largest sector we have. We also have almost 2,000 knowledge-based businesses. So these are the businesses that are in tech, and we are known as the IoT capital of Canada, so Internet of Things. We have huge hubs here and a lot of companies kind of contributing in that space. Let's dive into why you want to live here. You know, we always try to say that Ottawa is the best place to live, learn, work, and play. There's pretty much something for everybody, no matter what you're into. And I'm really excited to share some of the fun things that you can do in Ottawa. Definitely not a boring city. So we are one of Canada's fastest growing communities. So we're constantly growing. We saw a lot of people moving here during the pandemic because people wanted a better quality of life. They wanted to be closer to nature, a lot of different reasons. And it's also really one of the most affordable cities. So that really helps when you're trying to balance, you know, the salaries are competitive, but you can afford to buy a house. And so it's really a mix of different things that make it very affordable. We have really great public transit as well. And it has a very vibrant and diverse community. So because we are the capital, we find that there are a lot of different communities here. A lot of immigrants are here. So you'll see people from all different walks of life and cultures. And that's just one of the things that makes the city so great. Here are some photos of some festivals that you'll see throughout the year. We have a lot of Indigenous festivals and celebrations to celebrate Canada's Indigenous history. On the top right here, you're going to see the Franco-Ontarian Pride. So we try to celebrate the French history and presence here in Ontario. We have examples of some celebrations where we supported Ukraine, and also our Pride Parade that happens every year near the capital. So really a vibrant, you know, city. There's always a lot going on to celebrate different walks of life and to show our pride. Within the city, if you're really into the arts and culture, we have 14 national museums, the Museum of War, History, Civilization, the Museum of Nature, which is one of my favorites. We also have 32 art galleries, including the National Art Gallery. And we have over 180 annual festivals, fairs, and events. The Lebanese Festival just happened this past weekend. And for the last 2 weeks, we had Blues Fest, which is Ottawa's biggest music festival. It goes on for 2 weeks. We had some really cool performances. I attended myself. It was a lot of fun. It was on pause for the last 2 years because of COVID, but we're seeing this summer, everything's back. We have Hope Volleyball, which is a huge tournament for volleyball. We have dragon boat races. There's so many cool things to do. Pretty much every weekend in Ottawa is some type of fair, festival, or event. So if you keep up to date, there really is something for everybody. And we're also world famous for our outdoor activities. So something people probably know about Canada is we have our winters here that are a little cold. But what's cool is Ottawa really experiences all 4 seasons. Yes, we have our winters, but we also have beautiful springs, very warm summers with lots of beaches to explore. And then we have very beautiful, cool fall with beautiful colors and changing leaves. If you like the outdoors, Ottawa is definitely the place for you. We have so much to do, whether you're into skating. We have the world's largest outdoor skating rink. So the canal, which goes through Ottawa, gets frozen in the winter, and the city turns it into a free public skating rink. And let me tell you, there are hundreds of people on this every single day. Some people will even skate to work, to school. I've seen it happen. I've done it myself. It's just such a cool experience. And on the skating rink, they'll have fire pits, beaver tails for you to eat, which is a pastry, not an actual beaver tail, hot chocolate, whatever you could want, poutine, of course. It's just a really fun thing to do in the winter. We also have over 1,000 parks nearby, including the Gatineau Park, which has tons of hiking trails, cross-country ski if you want. You can snowshoe. We have a ton of biking trails. Ottawa is a very bikeable city, which is great if you don't have a car or if you just like to be active. There's a lot of protected bike lanes, as well as bike paths along the canal, along the river, some really scenic routes that are just wonderful for getting around. If you're into more intense sports, we actually are one of the top 5 whitewater rafting areas. And whitewater rafting is quite interesting. It's at the bottom left corner there. You go into a giant inflatable tube with some paddles and go into the whitewater, and it's quite exciting, but a little dangerous. So you got to make sure you're wearing your life jacket for that. We have tons of lakes and rivers for you to go swimming, fishing, canoeing, biking, not biking, sorry, kayaking, whatever your stand-up paddleboarding. There's tons of places where you can rent jet skis and things like that, or you can rent boats to go on. So lots of fresh water for us to enjoy. And then there's a lot of greenery. So just parks throughout the city that you can enjoy. If you have a dog, you just like going out for picnics. Tons of beaches. We have several beaches within the city that are very quick. You can drive or bike to them. And then there's a lot of wonderful camping nearby. If you like to go backpacking, car camping, there's different levels to it. Glamping, if you want a more luxurious camping experience. All sorts of things for you to do to really enjoy and make the most out of the 4 seasons that we get here. If you're also thinking of coming to do some post-secondary studies, maybe you're thinking of doing a master's, or if you're thinking ahead, okay, are my kids going to have a good education here? What do the schools look like? We have some outstanding post-secondary institutions. So we have the University of Ottawa, which is a bilingual university. You can do your degree in English, French, or both, which is what I did. I did some courses in English, some in French. We have Carleton University, and then we have Algonquin College of Applied Arts and Technology, which is a great college to get different diplomas. La Cité, in the Université du Québec en Outaouais, which are 2 French colleges and universities. And then Willis College, which is a great hands-on college that provides different programs for really in-demand skills and technologies that are needed by industry. So we have all these different institutions right within the city, so you have plenty of choices to go to school, just staying within the city. Let's talk cost of living, because this is definitely a hot button topic, and things did change quite a bit through the pandemic. So what we kind of saw is that Ottawa was extremely cheap to live in before. We trailed behind the averages of mortgages and houses. We were actually undervalued as a city. So things did kind of catch up and get more expensive during the pandemic. But all that we really saw happen was that the value of houses was kind of matching what the rest of Canada was looking like. But we're still more affordable than, say, the Vancouver, Toronto, Montreal when it comes to housing. It's just a little bit more expensive than it was, say 3 years ago. So the average cost to buy a home in Ottawa, and this means a freestanding home, with a backyard, not attached to, like a townhouse or thing like that. It is around $731,000. And then the average cost to buy a condo is about $468,000. And then the average monthly rent for a 1-bedroom apartment would probably be $1,600. Now, we are seeing a bit of a shift within Canada right now. Mortgage rates are going up, which means costs of houses are going down. So this might be lower in the coming months. We are seeing that shift kind of correcting from the pandemic. So keep that in mind that, the house prices did go up because of low interest rates during the pandemic. Things are starting to cool off. So maybe in a month, these numbers are going to look a little bit different. Now I kind of want to get into, the job market and what to expect within Ottawa. So because tech is such a major employer in the city, that's why I want to focus on it when I'm trying to talk to job seekers, because I think it's a really stable industry to get into. We know that tech is just going to continue to grow and the skills are always developing. So it's important to get into that industry and stay up to date on your skills and always be learning, because things, the tech is changing every day. Soon enough, I'm not going to know how to use my phone at this rate. But the primary tech industries within Ottawa kind of fall into 4 categories. So we have the telecom companies, so think like Bell, Rogers, Dell, Centronic. I'm going to get a bit into that a little bit later. Software, especially within AI, artificial intelligence, and data analytics. Cybersecurity is a big one, especially with our proximity to government. Security is a major factor for the government. So there's a lot of B2B business happening there, but also in the private sector for sure. And autonomous vehicles. This is something that's really, really cool that Ottawa is specialized in, which is an emerging technology. And so we have a lot going on in that industry, which we're super proud of. And that's going to require a lot of new skills and people getting into this field. So if you want to get into something new and exciting, autonomous vehicles is where it's at in Ottawa right now. So when I say that Ottawa has one of Canada's largest tech park, I'm talking about Canada North. And so you might have heard of Canada a little bit. It did at one point have kind of worldwide recognition because of some large companies that kind of came out of that tech park. And it's still true today that not most, but quite a lot of tech companies actually reside in the tech park in Canada. So Canada is actually a suburb of Ottawa. So it's a section of the city, and a lot of people who work in tech actually choose to rent or buy there so that they can have an easy commute to work. Although a lot of employers in Canada and Ottawa have adapted hybrid and remote, work models, there's a big push to go back into the office a couple of times a week or a month for collaboration opportunities. So that might still be of interest to you. So living in Canada is, great choice. You're still 20 minutes from downtown, but you're really close to the tech park. So within the tech park, they have over 500 companies, big and small, and they employ over 21,000 skilled people. So what kind of happened in Canada in the tech park is they had a couple large companies, and then people from those companies left to start their own ventures and kind of resided in Canada. So you have all these really cool, successful startups and larger companies in that area all playing together. The companies range in size up to 5,000 employees. And it's also the birthplace of game-changing companies such as Mitel, U.ITV, which is now bought by Warner Media, and Saba Software. So maybe those are some names you recognize. So I want to talk a little bit about the telecom sector. So this will give you some good information to kind of what's going on, will your skills line up with what they're looking for these days? And just a hint at some of the companies you could look into for your job search and start applying to. So within Ottawa, we're actually cultivating world-class expertise in disruptive tech, including 5G. So there's a huge push to 5G. Everybody kind of wants in on it right now. And the companies that we work with are really advancing the wireless technologies that have brought 5G to the tech world. And we're really leading the way when it comes to some industry players, different startups. We're working with academia and government support systems to kind of get this off the ground. And we have a communications research center within the city that we're working to test 5G. And we actually have a site, City Hall test site that we opened in 2017. So some of the big players here in telecom is Nokia, Ericsson, Infant Era, Solus, and Sienna. So those are some great companies that you can look into. Some of them are on the larger side. Solus is a little bit on the smaller. So it really depends on what you're looking for. We also have a ton of software companies. So this is the companies I probably work with the most is on the software side. We have about 560 companies within the software sector here in Ottawa that employ about 22,000 people. So some cool companies within this space, maybe you've heard of them. Shopify, that is Ottawa's homegrown unicorn that we have headquartered here. I believe they're international at this point. But they're always doing amazing things and are hiring quite a bit. Kinaxis, BlackBerry, QNX, and TripAdvisor. So whether it's software, data analytics, artificial intelligence, all of this is under development right here in the city, powering innovative technologies like autonomous vehicles, e-commerce, smart city initiatives, and IoT. We're also the national hub for Canada's defense and security. So there's about 100 companies within the cybersecurity space here that employ about 10,000 people. So you might want to check out Thales, Crypto4A, General Dynamics, and Fortinet. As a G7 capital city and headquarters for most federal government departments, Ottawa provides a globally competitive environment where world-class defense and security innovation thrives. Now, what is tricky sometimes for people immigrating is that some jobs and companies within security are going to require security clearance. So this will just happen if they're working with a government client that requires this. So sometimes there are requirements like you need to have been living in Canada for 5 years minimum, or you must have a PR or citizenship. It really depends. There are levels to security clearance. So not all jobs require you to, have a PR. Some could just require 5 years within the country, or some jobs might not have clearance. I know some companies, what they do is they have, the people who don't have clearance work on certain projects with certain clients, and then make sure that the ones that require clearance are working on those projects. So if you want to get into security, it's not impossible. If you're a newcomer, there are plenty of opportunities. It's just something to be aware of. It's typically listed in the job description if it requires clearance, and then pay attention to what level. And then you can Google it and figure out, okay, what, would I qualify for that level of clearance before you apply? So that's just really important to keep in mind. All right, and so now I want to talk a little bit about the autonomous vehicles, which is something really neat and unique about Ottawa, and Invest Ottawa actually plays quite a large role in this. So anchored by BlackBerry QNX, Ottawa's smart mobility cluster includes more than 100 companies, post-secondary institutions, and organizations that are all contributing to intelligence and technologies to the connected autonomous vehicles of the future. So this includes multinational companies like Ford, which have established a connectivity and innovation center with hundreds of employees in the capital. So we've got many innovators, entrepreneurs, and subject matter experts working in this space. And we're home to Area.xo. So this is actually a brand of Invest Ottawa. And it's our state-of-the-art facility, which offers a safe and secure environment to create, test, and demonstrate future mobility, autonomy, and connected technologies. So any innovation, any application, any sector, from transportation to telecom to smart agriculture, defense, aerospace, public safety, and smart cities, all of this is happening at our testing sites. We actually have public and private test tracks. And that's really unique. And we're able to test in all weathers. As I mentioned, we have all 4 seasons. So something that's really important when testing autonomous vehicles is making sure it can work in the heat, in the wind, in the snow, on ice. And so because Ottawa has all that, it was a perfect place to have these testing tracks. And so, companies from all over the world are collaborating with us to be able to test out their technology on these sites. And we have the testing capabilities to test pretty much any type of technology in that space. And that's happening right here. So as I mentioned, if you're looking to get into an emerging technology or thinking, where can I get my skills? This is a very new sector. So we're not going to be finding people with 20 years of experience specifically in this space. We're going to be looking for transferable skills from transportation, agriculture, things like that, that to be able to transfer into this area. So a lot of really cool work going on at area.exo. And one of our smaller industries, but still a very important one, is the life sciences field. So there's a lot of research and development happening here. We've really emerged as a global market for a center of discovery, development, and commercialization. So we have about 134 companies in this space, big and small. They employ about 6,000 people. So this is really great if you come from, a medical background, biology, chemistry, for example. You can really transition into the tech sector in these spaces. We have a lot of academic research, centers of excellence. We have access to world-leading hospitals, like the Ottawa Hospital that's doing a lot of research, and the industry plays a very large part in that to collaborate. The nation's capital provides a lucrative environment for leading edge products, technologies, and innovations in health technology. So health tech is really huge. We have a couple companies like Abbott, Boston Scientific, Siemens Healthineers is definitely one to keep an eye out for, and Thermo Fisher Scientific. So how can we support you kind of in your journey? So whether you are just thinking about Canada, or you're already in process to come here, or you're already here, you can engage with G-TAC and Invest Ottawa to help you find employment. So through the workinottawa.ca, you can go to the jobs tab and apply to be in our talent pool. And so by joining Invest Ottawa's talent pool, that means that you're going to get access to myself and my team, who is working every day with our tech companies to help them fill their roles. So although we do a lot of tech positions like developers, architects, testers, QA, for example, we also work with them on finding technical salespeople, digital marketing, and all sorts of positions. So as I said, even if you don't come from a tech background, if you have transferable skills to the tech industry, we'd love to speak to you. So you can join our talent program by submitting your resume to our job board. And then from there, you'll get added to our database. And on a monthly basis, you'll receive emails about specific roles tailored to you that are available with our clients. You'll also receive a monthly newsletter about what's going on in Ottawa's tech scene. And then you'll, if you have a resume that matches the experience and the skills that one of our clients are looking for, we'll reach out personally to talk to you and hopefully introduce you to that company and get some interviews. I'll make sure to put that information in the chat so you have it. And then, really, I'm just hoping that I'll be able to help you kind of in your journey. And that's all for me until Q&A.
Thank you so much, Brianna. That was a really great presentation. We had a lot of engagement on the chat. So I had my work cut out for me there for sure. So we do have a good amount of time for questions, and I am going to just pull those up. So let's go back to your slide. We'll just leave it here. So I got a lot of questions in the beginning half. So I'll start with those, and then I'm sure there'll be more questions as we're doing this. So while we're going through, I'll keep an eye.
Well, Brianna, can I start with a quick question?
Yeah, sure.
This one is actually a pretty good one. Is I'm from Arab countries. Would I be able to integrate into Canadian society, especially in Ottawa?
That was my first question. I'm not even joking.
Did you say Arab countries?
Yeah.
Yeah. This person is from Arab country, so he's Arabic. Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Ottawa actually has a really large Arab community. We're actually not world famous, but Canada famous for the best shawarma. because of this, we just, there's so many different, people and communities. And so the restaurants definitely reflect that. And shawarma is so popular in Ottawa. I know people from, across Canada that when they come to Ottawa, they always grab some because it's the best. We can attribute that to our Lebanese community. And so absolutely, you'll be able to really mesh well within the community. There's a lot of, Muslim people here as well, if that's your religion. And, people are very respectful. There's lots of mosques within the city.
Great. I have someone here who's asking, are there any shipping companies in Ottawa?
Yeah, that's a great question. I am unsure because I'm more focused on the tech side of things, but I do believe there are shipping companies here. I just don't have any examples off the top of my head.
Yeah, okay, that's not a problem. And then someone here wants to know how they can send their resume to you.
Perfect. So I included in the chat the link to workinottawa.ca. I don't know if we can pin it, but on the jobs tab, there is a link to the job board where you can submit your resume.
Great, thank you, Brianna. And this is a really good question, and I've never seen this question before, but it is a very relevant question. Someone is asking, I want to apply for jobs in Canada. How can I make sure the employers are official?
That is a good question. There are unfortunately scammers out there. We've been victim to it. Somebody pretended to be Invest Ottawa at one point and tried to interview people. It's crazy what people will do, but the best thing you can do is do your research ahead of time. So make sure that they have a website that looks official. They typically will have a LinkedIn page that matches. Test out their phone numbers, test out their emails. If you get any sort of bounce back or dead end, that can be an indicator. And make sure you're talking to people. So within the interview process, if you don't at any point do like a video interview or a phone interview and talk to a real person, that can be a red flag. So no one should ask for your financial information before you actually have a job offer and you're starting work. They will ask you for your direct deposit information once they need to set up your checkings to pay you. But before that, do not give out any of that information, the number, things like that. That could be an indication of a scam if they're asking for that personal information ahead of time. You can go to their website, check out Google reviews. Glassdoor, for example, is a website that Canadians use to review employers. So if they typically have reviews, that's a good indication that they're a real company. And if all their, online presence tends to match and seems legit, then, proceed, but proceed with caution always, and be careful.
Well, another thing, Brianna, is would employer ask you to pay them? They won't, right?
Never. Yeah. And sometimes recruiters will do that too. Not real recruiters like myself, but fake recruiters. If anybody ever asks you to pay them, don't. Because
or for very private personal information before and yeah.
Yeah. Now, there are companies that you have to pay for their services, like say it's like, language coaching or career coach or things like that. But typically how it works in Canada with recruiters is the companies pay them. So, we want to talk to you. We want to talk to the job seekers and get as many great job seekers as we can to introduce to our clients. But at no point should a recruiter or a company say, hey, you need to pay us to get this job. Big red flag, walk away. It's not worth it.
Brianna, how are you familiar with the GTS stream?
Yes, actually, Invest Ottawa is a referral partner for the Global Skills Strategy and the Global Talent Stream. So I would say that this is probably one of the most useful visa streams that I use and my clients use because it's so, it works so well for the technology sector. I would say the only one that we use more or, is more efficient is the Francophone Mobilité visa. So if you are a native French speaker, which I know this audience, is a lot, there's a lot of French speakers here. Alors, si tu parles français, le visa de mobilité francophone est probablement le premier choix. But if you don't speak French, then most likely look into the GTS. This is something, if an employer is interested in you, they might not know about. But if you have the information ready and say, hey, these are the streams that I, am eligible for, that could help sway them in deciding to bring on someone internationally, because it is, challenging to do that the first time for an employer. But once an employer is set up with the GTS program, it becomes really easy for every hire they do. So typically it's an expedited 4-week process. It takes, as quick as possible, 2 weeks. Sometimes it's more than that, 3-4 weeks, to get the employer application approved. And then after that, you, the worker, can submit your work permit, and ideally it's processed within 2 weeks, which is IRCC's and ESCC's promise. And then you'll have a 2 to 3 year closed work permit with that company. So that's important. It's a closed work permit. You would come to Canada to work for that employer. After 1 year, you can apply to PR. And I do suggest doing that after the 1 year if you are hoping to stay, because what I see a lot is they kind of wait until, the end of their 2 year or 3 year period and then apply for it. And then you might run into a situation where you have to actually leave the country and then re-enter to get that. So just do it. If you're planning on staying in Canada, which I hope you all are, try to do that and apply as soon as possible to just, give as much time and be stress-free. But it's a fantastic program if you are a skilled, uniquely skilled worker, or if you work in tech. Typically you fall under one of the categories within GTS.
Okay, sorry, Caitlin. I have like 12 follow-up questions in WeChat groups here, but I'm going to go.
No worries.
I'm just going to limit to one, so you can continue with the other one. Okay, so Brianna does. Well, I guess this is a two-part question. Number one, does Invest Ottawa have a list of employers that is offering GTS positions? And number two, does Invest Ottawa have a list of companies in Ottawa, like in general, that have that does offer GTS positions? One is under Invest Ottawa's umbrella. One is like in Ottawa in general.
We don't, and that's actually a really good idea. We are revamping our website, so that might be a good resource for us to add. I can name a couple companies that I know do this really well. Centronic is a leader in the city of Ottawa. So they're in the telecom space, and they're an engineering design house, and they hire dozens of people under GTS every year. They actually have specialists within their company that work on this, and they're constantly hiring, not only for them, but for their clients. The clients will come to them and say, hey, we don't have the resources to use GTS. Centronic will actually hire that person. You'll work for Centronic on that company's projects, because they work on company's projects. And then you'll have the opportunity to go in-house with that company down the road if that's what you choose to do.
Perfect.
So yes, that's my number one recommendation, is if you need to use GTS, apply for a company called Centronic. They're also a fantastic employer. They have a really good onboarding program for newcomers to the city. They'll completely help you integrate into the community. So that also is a really great bonus.
And coincidentally, folks, just so you know, is we have, because a lot of people asking GTS questions, we have invited. So Centronic will be doing a live presentation on Thursday, August 25th. So folks, please mark that down in your calendar. Thursday, August 25th, Centronic will be the presenter for our live weekly Meet the Employer workshop. Go ahead, Caitlin.
What a great segue.
Yeah. So I have a question here. Someone is asking, is it really important to be in Canada to find a job? If not, what companies will hire me from outside of Canada?
Yeah, so it definitely can be easier. So here are a couple recommendations. So if you're within Canada, it sometimes does help to put, if you have an open work permit, for example, put that right on your resume that you have an open work permit, because if your resume leads to any doubts, the employer might pass up on it. If you're outside the country, same advice. If you have PR, citizenship, an open work permit, or you're in the express entry program, whatever it is, put that on your cover letter or resume so that it gives the incentive to the recruiter or the company to read your resume in full. Because sometimes what happens if they see an international resume, they might skip over it if they know they don't have the capacity to sponsor someone or bring someone over. But again, it's not impossible. So definitely, some companies on their careers page will actually have, they can filter the job board based off of roles for international. You can see if they have roles that are open for remote or contract, or see if they have headquarters. What you can do is if say you live in a country where that company has a headquarters, if you work for them for a year, you can do intercompany transfer to Canada. That might take a little bit longer, but that could be a way in if that's something that you're interested in if you're working for a larger company. But yes, it is easier, but it's not impossible. Just make sure you're applying for the right roles. The larger companies typically have the capacity to bring people over and sponsor. So if you're applying for a startup, most likely they won't take you unless you already have a permit or are in country. So try to focus on the larger companies that have roles open for international workers.
Perfect. I have a question here from Bernadette. She wants to know if it's possible to study and work in Ottawa.
Yeah, so if you do get a study permit here, typically what the rules are is that you can, I think, work up to 20 hours per week while you're studying on that permit. You can't work full-time and study, but on your off semesters, you can work full-time. So typically how it works in Canada is you have 2 semesters, typically from September to December, and then January to May. And then the summers, 4 months, you have off. And so within those 4 months, you can work full-time on a study permit as a student. Sometimes those semesters might be different. So as long as you're on a non-study semester, you can work full-time, and then otherwise you can work part-time up to 20 hours, which is great to help afford rent and your tuition and things like that, and get experience. I would also recommend looking for programs that have a co-op option. So if your program has co-op, then that means that the school will put an effort and help support you in finding a job that lines up with your career, because that's sometimes the hardest barrier of entry is getting Canadian work experience. It's unfortunate that that's a bias that sometimes people still have. In tech, it's less common, but still having Canadian experience is the best way to break into the market. So if you have worked for even Canadian companies or clients while abroad, try to put that in your resume. But if you find a co-op program and then you get say 4 months or 8 months of relevant industry experience in Canada, you are going to find it so much easier to find a full-time job after your studies. And after you finish your diploma or degree, you get a 2 to 3 year open work permit. And then if you find a job in your field, you're able to apply to PR afterwards. So a great way to come to Canada.
Great. Yeah, school is a great way to come to Canada for sure. I just want to, before I get to the next question, I do have a really good next question. I just want to remind people that we did post a poll. I'm sure you saw it pop up on your screen. If you haven't taken the 1 minute to fill that out, please fill that out. It really helps us give great feedback and information on how everyone felt about the presentation today to Brianna. And so we can get, and as well to us, so that we can continue to bring stuff to the table that you want to see and bring information that you think is relevant to you. So the next question I have is from Maria, and we had a lot of people asking similar questions, but she wanted to know if you could explain a bit more about the Mobilité francophone.
Yeah, so that visa is for native French speakers. So you don't necessarily have to come from a French-speaking country that is national language, but you have to, speak French at home. So you'll have to go through a French proficiency test, and that I believe is another 2 to 3 year work permit. The catch is you can't live or work in Quebec. that might be very attractive for people who speak French. Quebec is the predominantly French province within Canada, but this visa is specifically to promote our second official language, French, within the rest of Canada. So if you want to work in Ottawa and live in Ottawa, no problem. You can use this visa. You typically do have to have a job offer and it's company specific, I believe. But yes, just if you're a native French speaker and you don't want to live and work in Quebec, that is an option for you.
Perfect. I have another question here from Noel. And I know we're coming up to 10 a.m. Do you have a bit of time to go over after 10?
Let me check, but I think I'm okay.
And while you're checking that, I'll ask the next question. I think it's a really good question. Noel is asking, if he's coming to Canada on a tourist visa, can it be an opportunity to seek work as a foreigner, or is it too risky to do that?
No, yeah. As a tourist, you're coming as a tourist. And if you are working on a tourist visa, you can definitely get in trouble. So I don't recommend it. But what it could be good to do is to get familiar with the city, to maybe visit some employers that you might be interested in, attend networking events, maybe socialize, but no, do not try to work on your tourist visa.
Perfect. I do have a few more questions. Did you have a bit of time?
I do have something at 10 o'clock, unfortunately.
Okay. So I'll give you just a brief chance. I know some people ask if they can connect with you on LinkedIn. So that's a pretty straightforward question. But, we love working with Invest Ottawa. I know that you're partnered with a lot of organizations. So for our viewers here, would they have a chance to learn a bit more about those organizations? Maybe we could do another webinar, or they could come to the Virtual Career Expo and chat with the recruiters from those companies.
Yeah, absolutely. So my best advice is to get into the talent pool that I had. Within the newsletter that we send on a monthly basis, we share the other events that we have. So sometimes we do our own career fairs or information sessions, in-person networking events if you happen to be in Ottawa. So by getting on that newsletter list, you'll be able to learn more about those companies. We also have a very popular blog at investottawa.ca called 10 Companies Hiring in Ottawa. And so every month we publish who are 10 companies that are hiring this month. And that's a really great way to learn about the different companies. So we write a little bit about who the companies are, what they're doing, and what roles they're looking for. So check out that blog. We put one out once every month. Our goal is really to educate you on who's who in the city, who's hiring, to make your job search a little bit easier. So join that newsletter, check out our blog, and then hopefully attend some of the events that we host. And absolutely, some of the companies that we work with will be at G-TAC career fairs as well.
Yeah, and we hope you're there as well. I'm sure you will be.
We always love joining. So you can also talk to me at that next event.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Brianna, for your time. I know it's like we have 30 seconds before your next meeting, so I'll give you the floor and then we'll give a conclusion after you leave.
Well, thanks so much for having me. As I said, yes, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, Brianna Fraser. Check out workinottawa.ca and investottawa.ca, and hopefully I'll be able to connect with some of you soon in order to help you with your job search. Best of luck.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
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 Okay, wow. So that was a fantastic presentation. I'm so sorry that we couldn't get to everyone's questions. Whoops. I'm so sorry that we couldn't get to everyone's questions. I know there's a lot of really good questions on the chat, and we are really, really grateful to have you all here today. We are bringing a lot of other presentations to you shortly. Let me just control this screen here. I'm having a bit of a glitch.
Maybe you want to go to the this one, yes.
Let me just just going to let people know about our presentations over the next few weeks first, and then I'll jump to the Virtual Career Expo. So next week we have a career a presentation on jumpstarting your accounting profession in Canada. And then on July 28th, we are having the Mining Industry Resource Council. So there were a few of you on the call who are asking about specific industry information related to mining and geology. So that would be a great presentation next 1 week from today at the same time. And then I know we had the most questions about how to register for the Virtual Career Expo. So we have the website on this page. Again, it's going to be September 27th and 28th. This is an opportunity for you to talk to recruiters from different organizations, as well as different economic development regions. Okay. Great. Shaw, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Well, yeah, there's so many questions. I'm
know
afraid
there's
that if
so
I
many
start,
good questions.
I know, I'm afraid if I start answering one, it's so what I would suggest everyone is please put your questions to info@g-tac.ca, and we're trying to reply, answer your questions. Like for example, the person earlier was talking about tourism coming here on or visitors visa, and then can you find work, things like that. Those are questions that you best ask immigration, a certified immigration consultant. Okay, anything related to immigration, please invest in, put a little investment in and seek advice from professional certified immigration consultant. Okay. So that's our best advice. Of course, send all your questions to info@g-tac.ca, and we'll be yeah.
Before people start signing off, I just want to remind you that we share information about our upcoming webinars. We share job postings all on our LinkedIn. So it's a great place to follow us if you guys are not active on LinkedIn. It's a great tool for networking. A lot of recruiters use it in Canada. So start by following us on LinkedIn, and we'll share a lot of information with you there. So that's a great place to connect. And our LinkedIn is Global Talent Alliance Canada. And if you put that in the search bar, we'll be the ones to pop up. Okay.
Okay, Kaylin, I'll let you close the workshop today.
Okay, well, you know, I just want to close really simply, and I just want to thank everyone so much for taking the time out of their day to join us. If you had any other questions about Invest Ottawa or Ottawa as a region, or about our organization, the Virtual Career Expo, you can connect with us on our social media, or you can connect with us by email at info@g-tac.ca. Feel free to connect with me as well on LinkedIn, or Shaw. Actually, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I definitely love accepting people. I know Shaw sometimes is a little bit more private, but we just appreciate your presence, and we appreciate your questions and your viewership on all of these events. So we'll see you next week, and have a great rest of your day and a good weekend.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.